Thank you guys for coming out here today. It means a lot. I really appreciate you guys showing up here and giving me 10 to 15 minutes of your guys' time. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Ryker. This is my wonderful and beautiful wife, Tori. And then we also have two partners that could not make it here today, Ryan and Jamie Sherman. So I'll be speaking on behalf of all of us. We make up the founders of Arizona Autism. Arizona Autism is the largest full service agency in the state of Arizona. One of the beautiful things about what it is that we do is we encompass all facets of care, which means literally all. It means we have group homes. It means we have developmental homes. It means we have IDLAs. It means we do physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, habilitation, respite. All of these things encompassed all the way down to we do training to get people equipped and prepared so they can go and service this industry. So this is all we do. It's a one-stop shop for everything. So when I say this is our heart, I promise you this is our heart. Arizona Autism employs over 3,000 people. We service and take care of over 4,000 members. So I want you to hear this from me and my wife that today, although I'm speaking with a lot of Arizona Autism things, it's with a heavy heart that I'm going to speak to you more as a dad of a special needs kid than I'm going to speak to you as a business owner so you understand what it is. As many of you have figured out by now why we're here, the state is considering and planning the most aggressive budget cuts to this industry that they've ever done. To give you a point of reference, in 2008, when we actually had a major financial crisis, they only shaved off a little bit of our budget, just a tiny bit. And that was a major financial meltdown. We're not in a major financial meltdown right now. So for this is a very strong blow to our industry. This industry has always been a protected industry because you're dealing with a lot of people that are voiceless, meaning you need to have a voice for them because they do not get to speak on behalf of themselves. So what I want to do is I just have 4 objectives today. I want to explain 4 things. I want to explain specifically what the budget cut is. I want to explain how these cuts are going to impact your families and your children. I want to explain how these cuts are going to impact people that aren't even in the industry, just Arizona in general. And lastly, I want to explain how you can join the fight with us. First, what's being cut? There are 2 different forms of caregiving. You may not know this terminology. One of them is attendant care. Attendant care is going to be cut, which is basically going to be allocated based on activity-based only. So whatever it is that they deem necessary, the government deems necessary, it takes for a child to do an item, that's the only amount of time they're going to give. The second thing is going to be habilitation, which is a form of like therapeutic caregiving. This is going to be determined not on the child's care, but by the age of the child. Next, number 2, how this is going to impact specifically special needs families. Special needs families are going to lose 50 to 75% of their attendant care hours. Attendant care hours, I want you to imagine this. If your child, what seems normal like brushing teeth to a neurotypical kid, brushing teeth for our kids, yes, one night it's 2-3 minutes. One night it is an hour to get our child's teeth brushed. I don't know if that's comprehended for everybody. You don't know what it looks like to have a meltdown mid-toothbrushing and have to come back 15 times. It's physically impossible to account a time that the government would pin down and say, here's the amount of time you have for teeth brushing. It just doesn't work like that in our world. The second thing is habilitation. This is the one that has been marked off based on, and I'm just going to read this off so I don't state anything correctly, based on the age group. If your child is between 3 and 5, you can have no more than 5 hours of this care. If your child is 6 to 9, no more than 9 hours in a week. 10 to 12, 11, 13 to 17 years old, 14. You cannot plan this around an age group. I've been doing this for a decade, and I've been a dad for longer than that. What you've got to understand specifically about this is that I know a 5-year-old that can be in the season of their life where they tear the roof off. I also know a 16-year-old that can do it, but vice versa. I know a 16-year-old that's going to tear the roof off, and I know a 5-year-old that's calm. And here's the wild part. Those same kids go through seasons. I know a season where the 5-year-old is really good, and I know 6 months later where the kid is really not. So you can't pick a number just randomly out of thin air that says, because this child is 7 years old, this is the only care they get. In no world does that make sense, because the age does not determine the care they need. If I could be vulnerable with you guys a minute, probably from where you are, it's hard to see, but if you were to come up close, you could look at the top of my head. You could see scars on the top of my head. If I was to take my jacket off, you could see scars on my forearms. My wife has long sleeves. You could see them on her. These scars didn't come from street fights, guys. These came from loving our son through meltdowns. These scars, literally, of having to MMA with your child for an hour every single night, every single day. This is the reality of the world that we live in. And this is the reality of, while these things have gone on, there are times where I'm at work and my wife was the only one home. And without a caregiver to be with my wife, there'd be no one to keep everything safe. And I wouldn't even be able to be at work to do what it is that you see I do here today. Guys, this is autism. And there's no way that it can be accounted for a random rubric like you see. It's complete insanity that you could pick an age to do this. It's not only that, we believe it's ageism and it's discrimination, because you're picking that based on a random number, and we just don't think it's fair. Third, how's this going to impact Arizona? There's upwards of 70,000 special needs families in Arizona. When you cut back care, there's a terminology we use a lot called regression, where when kids don't have proper care over and over again, the way that their mind is wired, they regress and go backwards. We don't measure our achievements in this industry by miles. We literally measure it by inches. Like, we get excited when a kid says a word. Like, oh, when you get excited that your neurotypical kid can say sentences, sing songs, and do that, that's not us. We get a half of a word and we're high-fiving and we're hugging and kissing and excited. That's the world that we live in. It's a different world. So for those of you that aren't a part of this, I just want you guys to know that. Number 2 is safety concerns. When kids don't have proper care, as I alluded to with the scars on our bodies, there can be safety concerns. And when there's not proper care and help, then you involve other people, like I've been involved in before, with police and firefighters and emergency rooms, which I've been a part of, every single one of them, both for my family and for other people's families. This is a reality of the world that we live in. And in a lot of cases, although to our group, autism seems very normal, it's still very much so not Maine for all places. There are still multiple avenues when you talk to fire and police that they are not certified and trained in this. I promise you. In fact, we have a good friend of ours, Cricket Barrientos. She runs Sounds of Autism. She offers free training to train police officers and firefighters how to handle an autistic kid when you come across them, because there have been some interactions that haven't gone good. This isn't even a part of, the government does not train our forces to make sure they know how to do this. This is not a thing yet. So you understand, we're still underserved in a lot of the things these kids deserve and need. Oh, this fourth one, third and fourth one. There's going to be parents that are going to lose jobs. Like, if you don't have help, like I pointed to, you're going to have to be the help. So there's going to be parents that literally are going to have to quit jobs. Number 4, which is one, Arizona Autism has spent 10 years growing and never had to go backwards. There's a world where we're going to have to consider, what does that look for our own staff and employment? Something like a layoff is not even a word that's ever been in my vocabulary in 10 years. I never thought it would be a word. And this could impact, there's a lot of agencies, we're just one of them. And here's the wild part. If you look at it as a grander scale, remember, all of this is part of social services. So you have to remember this, that if you start to cut some of these services, you have to think about the trickle-down effect. If people lose jobs, if they have to stay home, if kids regress, the things you will see here, all of the things that you saved on one side, they will go up in the other. People will file for unemployment. People will get food assistance. People will get housing assistance. People will do that. If you start to let go of tens of thousands of jobs, which is where this is headed across the state, you're going to have people. So all of these other buckets, where they're paid from the exact same government, all of these other buckets are going to go up. So then guess what? It's just a lose-lose for everyone. So we lose care for the special needs kids, but the budget still gets spent just in another category. I want you guys to hear my heart on this. I don't want to come off as ungrateful, and I don't want to be a burden on society in any way. I don't want you to think that I'm trying to push something on other families that don't have special needs kids. I just want you to understand that this is a very delicate situation. Like we're talking about a very special set of people, a very special set of lives, and I just want you to understand how important this is. And pardon my brashness, but if the governor and politicians knew about this for the past 3 years, which is what is claimed to be, if they said that there was over 1,000% rise on the spend, if you knew that and you're a government official, why did you wait 3 years and then drop a bomb on us out of nowhere? Why didn't we have open dialogue? It'd be like a private business. Do you think Arizona Autism wouldn't reevaluate how we spend our money every 3 months if we saw a trajectory, if things weren't going well? We would. So why would the government think it'd be okay to say, oh, oopsie, we're over 1,000% spending, let's make a quick cut to it? It's just not an appropriate way to do it. I want to give you just kind of a metaphorical situation here so you can kind of feel and see what I'm talking about. Let's say a hospital was forced to do budgetary cuts. If a hospital was forced to do budgetary cuts, would the top executives at the very top, would the first thing that they do be, all right, our ER and our ICU are our most expensive things. We're going to cut staff and services by 50%. Would you do that? You absolutely wouldn't do that. Why would you not do that? Because your emergency room is an essential care and your ICU is life or death, right? There's no way you would do that. In essence, that's what you're doing here. You're cutting our emergency care and you're cutting the intensive unit care. That's the same thing. It just doesn't make good sense for humanity or financial reasons. With all of that, I want you guys to understand that there's been a lot of news lately. Obviously, last week was a big week nationally. The president talked about everything that's going on, and there's a lot of focus on this industry right now. What I just want to be heard is, I don't care what side of the fence you stand on or what you believe about any of it, but whatever they're doing, and I'm thankful for there being a spotlight on autism. I am, and I'm thankful that they want to get some answers, but that doesn't help us right now. Do you understand what I mean? What you're going to find out about autism in 3, 4, 5 years doesn't change that these kids are going to live life right now. So none of that's going to change for them. So I simply want people to remember who we are as a population. I think that if you don't know someone that has special needs, I think you may even forget because you don't see us very often. I don't know if you've thought about that. Me and my wife don't go to birthday parties. We're not even invited to birthday parties. Not that we don't have friends and people aren't loving to us, but they know we're not going to come to their birthday party. So we don't get invites anymore. We don't get invited to barbecues. We don't go out and do normal things like normal families. We don't live that life, and that's okay. I'm not looking for pity because I'm just telling you, like, remember, you don't see a lot of our families because we hide, because we're reclusive, because sometimes it's easier not to be in Walmart while your kid throws a meltdown and is trying to bite you or scream or hit or tear things off the shelf. And instead of dealing with the ridicule, not intentional, people don't mean to be mean, but the eyes and the comments, oh, there's a bad kid, there's bad parents, I know what I'd do with that kid if they were mine. This is why a lot of us don't go anywhere. So like, we're such a quiet voice so often because we have to be a quiet voice. We're always hiding, and not intentionally. These kids, they didn't choose this disability over their life. I want to share one quick story with you guys. The things that when we found out our son Taven had autism, that we would experience, there's a reason why God doesn't let you know the future, because if you knew what was ahead of you sometimes, I don't think you would be prepared to bear it or handle it. So there's a reason for that. One of the things that I think about that always comes to my mind for my family is, going back to Taven being like 6 or 7, Taven being in a diaper, 7, 8 years old. Taven's still in a diaper, but 7, 8 years old. I remember waking up in the middle of the night, like 2, 3 a.m., and smelling like there's like poop smell in the house. And I thought, what's that smell? Dead of the night. Hear some noise, hear some ruckus, walk down the hallway to my son's room, open the door, poop smeared on the ceiling, poop smeared on the walls, the door handles, the floor, everywhere. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't even know how I'm going to get him in the shower, clean the house, even think in the moment. And I remember just being on the ground, just crying on the ground and going, man, this is crazy. This is a wild life that we live. And what's even wilder about this story is that's one of hundreds of nights of our lives, where after dealing with all that, a few hours later, I got to show up to work and we got to do life with all of our kids. And I don't know if everyone necessarily understands how this life is. And I'm just telling you the story about nighttime. There's 100 more stories where that happened in the middle of the day. You know who was there to support my family? Caregivers. You know who was there so many of the episodes of the meltdowns and the fights? Caregivers. It's wild sometimes to think that so many of these caregivers can be like 18 and 19-year-old children. Me and my wife, we've laughed about this over the years about these 19-year-old kids love our son like it's their own kid. They're a 19-year-old kid. And they chose this industry not because of money, I promise you. They can go get jobs anywhere and make the same amount of pay as a caregiver. Mm-hmm. They chose it because they have a heart for that. These are people that pick this industry that are getting threatened to cut their jobs. People that love people, love children. These caregivers become more like family to our families than you can ever imagine. I've been to weddings of the caregivers, helped them buy their first cars, been a part of their lives. They've become so impactful and done so much for my family, been there through the hardest of times, the hospitalizations. When our son had a mental breakdown and we were hospitalized twice, caregivers showing up to be there to give us 1 hour to get a shower, 2 hours to run to the office to get much needed paperwork done. I promise you, it's not just a job. I promise you. The last one that always comes to mind that, man, I'm going to hold it together for this one, but we had a caregiver that got so close to our family that because she had a rough relationship with her dad, she asked me to walk her down the aisle in her wedding. I want you to understand that these people are so important in our lives. They are literally family. Here's what I'm asking for. I'm just asking for better planning. I'm asking for us to have a seat at the table to be able to deliberate this budget, and I'm asking for a pause. And I know it's a big ask because I know that we're talking about Wednesdays and in 48 hours they plan to do this. But what I'm saying is you can't determine how care is going to be based on a child's age. That is not appropriate care for a child. It's not sufficient care, and it's not going to work to help. So how can you join this fight with us? Our biggest ask that you just ask everyone to help us in the stop. that they need to put a pause on all of this. We need them to give us appropriate time so we can help plan this thing. So here's what I'd like to say. If you're watching this from TV right now, text and call anyone that you think can help out. Anyone that can be here, that can make a difference in this industry, text them, call them, email them. Let them know this fight that we're in right now. If you're watching this from online, share this. Share this with everyone. Shoot, I don't care. Tag the governor, tag your local legislation, tag RFK and Trump. I don't care. Tag everyone. Let them know. This is something that only they can help stop this and give us an actual fighting chance at giving proper care. You can email these people. Email your local representative. Email the governor. Right up there on the second floor, you can request a meeting. These are public servants. Public servants mean they're here to serve you. Just like Arizona Autism is here to serve these families. They're here to serve us. And our voice does matter. Lastly, and most importantly, it's in our belief that the most important thing you can do for us right now, from the bottom of my heart, is pray. Arizona Autism has been a faith-based Christian organization for a decade. And God has protected us through all sorts of windfalls and storms. There's a million of them you'll never know about, and we don't feel there's a need to tell you guys about them because we just know that He's got us. But we ask that this is definitely a time that we call you guys into prayer, and we believe that He'll continue to do so and protect us. I just want you to know how important this cause is to save our care, and that these kids mean everything. And if you've met one autistic kid, you've met one autistic kid. And it's a very special community. I want to thank you guys for showing up here today at the Capitol. It means a lot to me. Have a blessed week, everybody.